This administration is complicit in the smuggling of millions of people into this country. And we look at just the children. We have over 500,000 children that were smuggled in this country by criminal cartels that this administration released to so-called sponsors, 500,000, and they can't find them. And that's something I want to talk about real quickly. President Trump is committed. This is just not a deportation operation that we're targeting the worst of the worst first. We're going to find those 500,000 children. We're going to save them. We'll put them back with their families. That's what President Trump's committed to doing.
And you're talking about the children that were used by criminal illegal immigrants that don't even know these children, and they use them to get into the country. We know that's happened on a large scale, correct?
Absolutely. Children have been rented by the criminal cartels to single males, go across the border, be released, the child goes back, gets re-rented again. And we know what happens to these children, Sean. And look, the illegal aliens coming across the border, people need to understand, 31% of women that make that journey get raped by criminal cartels. Children get raped. I've talked to little girls as young as 9 that have been raped multiple times. These cartels are animals, and that's why President Trump's going to take them off the face of the earth. They have killed more Americans than every terrorist organization in the world. And President Trump is committed to calling them terrorist organization and using the full might of the United States Special Operations to take them out.
Did Mr. Holman make any specific request from the city in order to work with you in this crisis?
His desire is clearly, again, what my target area is. And what I've learned also from sitting down with him and a representative from the Biden administration that was there in the meeting as well, we have 500,000 children who had sponsors in this country that we can't find. We can't find them. We don't know if they're doing child labor. We don't know if they're doing sex crimes. We don't know if they're being exploited. 500,000 children. There's a level of hypocrisy that everyone that states they want to protect everyone but innocent individuals who are victims of crimes and children. I want to support and protect children and innocent people that are victims of crime. And those who don't understand that, it's not up to me to try to convince them. I know what my job is, my goal is, and I was clear of that while running and when I became mayor.
An absolute disgrace. Not a word from Kamala, not a word from Joe, somewhere far asleep, ice cream sprinkles on the floor. And they call it a conspiracy. They find some way somehow to blame it on Trump. Yeah, an absolute disgrace, man. But let's go get into this, y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Merry Christmas, y'all. Incompetent administration. Disgrace. January 20th can't get here any faster, man. Let's check out what's going on.
I'm standing back with tractor trailer, 19 dead people at my feet that baked to death in back that tractor trailer, including a 5-year-old little boy who suffocated to death.
Okay? We have now delivered hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied children to unvetted sponsors that have enslaved them across our country.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think the same agencies who found Luigi Mangione within a week are incapable of locating hundreds of thousands of children who have gone missing in the last 5 years? And while you think about it, let me show you some extremely disturbing claims Tom Homan made during his bombshell interview with Tucker Carlson.
The one whistleblower said there was 11 young girls released and one male, single male. Maybe it's all innocent. Maybe it's not. But
there's nothing innocent about it. That's sick.
No.
It somehow gets even worse than that.
And CBP told me, for example, one dead man sponsored over 1,600 people. Been dead for years. Massive fraud, massive trafficking involved.
You heard that right. Mr. Homan is claiming that a man who has been dead for years has allegedly sponsored 1,600 people. And you can be damn sure that many of them are children. But how the hell did we get here, and why is no one talking about this? Well, the answer is simple. It doesn't serve their purpose anymore, and unless they can profit from it, the legacy media won't cover this story. However, that won't stop me, and I'm going to give you some shocking updates about the 500,000 missing children. I'm also going to show you just how hypocritical the mainstream media really is and why we need to raise our voices in order to save these kids. But before we begin, let me show you just how the crooks in this country try to twist facts to tell us that everything is okay and there are no missing kids. I already told you guys about the DHS report, which confirmed how nearly 300,000 children were unaccounted for ever since they crossed the border and were released by the authorities to sponsors. Some government officials are now saying that this report may not be accurate, and here's Senator Blackburn grilling one such official in a recent hearing.
There are not 320,000 missing children.
That's
that
correct.
number is a false interpretation of a DHS OIG report that said that 32,000 people who entered as unaccompanied children from 2019 to 2023 were ordered deported for missing court, and ICE failed to file charging documents for 291,000 more.
That's
Now,
right. That's an accurate description of the OIG report.
This is a human rights disaster because what we have heard is the DHS Inspector General, and what they have testified is that they found 32,000 migrant children did not show up for their court date, and an additional 291,000 migrant children never received notices to appear.
That's correct. That's what my tweet
Is it
said.
your testimony that DHS does in fact know the whereabouts of every single one of these 320,000 children, and they're just not telling people where these children are?
No, because that's not DHS's function here. It's also Office of Refugee Resettlement. It's
It is
not their job
DHS
to go out
and
and find every single
ORR.
people.
It is DHS and ORR.
I guess the
What
broader
we
point is
know,
somebody isn't missing
sir,
if no one's
what
looking for
we
them.
What we know is that through reports that have been made, reporting even the New York Times, many of these children are in abusive situations. They are working in plants, and indeed, DHS says that you've got this 320,000 migrant children that cannot be located. That is a human rights disaster.
Now, I don't know if you heard it, but the guy said, we don't know if someone is missing if no one is looking for them. And this is the same kind of messed up logic that mainstream media uses to bury this disaster. For instance, just look at this article from CBS, where they're trying to fact check Donald Trump's claims about 300,000 missing children. Let's see how they justify these horrifying numbers. Republicans began making claims that more than 300,000 unaccompanied children had been lost after the Department of Homeland Security released a report in August, which showed that Immigration and Customs Enforcement, or ICE, did not serve notices to appear in court to 291,000 children between fiscal year 2019 and May 2024. Notably, around half of this period occurred when Trump was president. While the DHS report stated that children who do not attend their court hearings can be at a higher risk of being trafficked or exploited, it did not say that the total 323,000 children referenced are unaccounted for or missing. Well, let me show you what the DHS report really said. ICE must take immediate action to ensure the safety of UCs residing in the United States. Based on our audit work and according to ICE officials, UCs who do not appear in court are considered at higher risk for trafficking, exploitation, or forced labor. Although we identified more than 32,000 UCs who did not appear for their immigration court dates, that number may have been much larger had ICE issued NTAs to the more than 291,000 UCs who were not placed into removal proceedings. To me, their tone seems quite serious and straightforward. The children who are missing are in danger, and we can't even confirm if they're okay. And even if you're not still convinced that these monstrous organizations don't care about these kids whatsoever, let me enlighten you. Just look at how Rachel Maddow reacted to reports about Trump sending kids to shelters when he was in office.
Trump administration officials have been sending babies and other young children. Oh, hold on.
She looks distraught, right? You'd think she would definitely try to look into this report and try to find out if those kids are
know about that famous clip.
even safe. Of course, she did not do that. Instead, she's busy peddling a documentary she made about Trump separating kids from their families.
Eamon, first of all, thanks very much for having me. I appreciate getting some of your real estate on your show here on Saturday night. I'm really grateful to be here. Filmmaker, this film was made by Academy Award-winning master of the genre, Errol Morris.
As you
MSNBC might be ashamed of themselves, man. Just shut this whole thing. There's already been pay cuts and people getting fired. Just make MSNBC great again. Rachel. Disgrace.
You can see she doesn't look distraught at all. And that's because these people have no emotions. They are only trying to make as much money as they can for themselves and for their network without showing a shred of honesty in their reporting. I'm sure you haven't forgotten how they refused to answer any of our questions about the missing children in Maui. As someone who personally visited Lahaina after the fire, I can tell you those people aren't making things up when they ask about those kids. The FBI says there are no identified minors among unaccounted and missing people. After hearing this, a former U.S. Army officer had questions.
What I read this morning was truly shocking. This is literally probably going to go down as one of the worst natural disasters on American soil, but also really one of the greatest mysteries. And it needs to get solved, and it needs to get solved now. Take a look at this.
Okay, this is the Hawaii News Now website, and if you look at the date, it is August 22nd. They're talking about the missing people and getting an updated list, but look at this. It says, I'll zoom in, the list also includes no identified minors, even though children are among the victims. So of the updated list of 1,054 people, none of them are children. What
the hell is that? So they have a list, an updated list from 2 days ago of 1,054 unidentified or unconfirmed people, and none of them are minors? None of them are children? That makes zero sense. The FBI is compiling the list? Yeah, they're reputable. I just don't understand what is going on. I don't understand what the delay is. I don't understand this is insanity, and it's still not being reported.
And now they're telling us to forget about these hundreds of thousands of kids as well. And they're doing this with smiles on their faces. But there's no smile on Mr. Homan's face. In fact, the man looked positively heartbroken while talking about those kids during his interview with Tucker. And this is what the liberal media is saying about him. Trump announces new border czar in the dead of night, and he's a nightmare. Trump's border czar is a terrible person. Tom Homan, bad human. And while they're busy trying to portray him as the devil himself, we're seeing more and more videos like this one.
¿Cómo estás? ¿Ah? ¿Qué pasó, mijo? ¿Qué traes? ¿Te dejaron solos? ¿Qué? ¿Viniste solo? ¿Qué tantos años tienes, mijo? 10 años. ¿Y vienes solo? ¿Sí? ¿Y tu papá y tu mamá?
No, mi mamá no va a estar en Estados Unidos.
¿Estás en los Estados Unidos? ¿Qué parte de México vienes?
No, de El Salvador.
¿El Salvador?
De Sonzacate.
¿Qué tantos años tienes, mijo?
¿Ah?
¿Qué tantos años tienes?
In the United States.
10 años. ¿Sí? ¿Y te dejaron la guía? ¿Te dejaron solo?
Sí.
¿Andas perdido? ¿Sí?
Sí.
Ok, pues ya llegaste a los Estados Unidos. ¿Ok? Ahorita le hablo a la migración para que te levanten. ¿Entendido?
Sí.
Ok.
And he's just one of the thousands of kids who are sent over the border sometimes with nothing more than a piece of paper in their hands. And now we find out that these kids are handed over to people without any vetting whatsoever. And when you interview folks who live near the border, you hear stories like this.
Here on the border, and we've been to lots of different border places, there's always girls' underwears and bras.
Those are the trees. That's a tree. Oh my God. Yeah, when they're all hanging on the bushes or the fence or whatever, yeah.
Wow.
And that's...
and this is a government who's, fights on protecting women's rights and girls and stuff, and this is what's going on.
Yeah, and I've had people come out and like, oh, I can't believe this is going on. What do you live on Mars?
Yeah.
I mean,
man.
anyone that, you know, I mean, there's been enough. I've done interviews with CNN, Fox. I mean, I've been on Jesse Water. You know, but nothing's changed.
Yeah, nothing happens.
But instead of showing people like him, CNN just tells us that the border is safe and we don't need to do anything about it. However, the tide is turning. More and more influential people are starting to talk about this issue, and one of them happens to be the mayor of New York.
And what I've learned also from sitting down with him and a representative from the Biden administration that was there in the meeting as well, we have 500,000 children who had sponsors in this country that we can't find. We can't find them. We don't know if they're doing child labor. We don't know if they're doing crimes. We don't know if they're being exploited. 500,000 children. There's a level of hypocrisy that everyone that states they want to protect everyone but innocent individuals who are victims of crimes and children. I want to support and protect children and innocent people that are victims of crime. And those who don't understand that, it's not up to me to try to convince them. I know what my job is, my goal is, and I was clear of that while running and when I became mayor. Safety means everything to me. 500,000 children, we don't know where they are right now in this country.
And while we're talking about influential people, I do have to commend actor Mel Gibson, who's been on this lonely crusade to protect our children.
One of the most disturbing problems in our world today is human trafficking, and particularly the trafficking of children. Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness.
Now, Hollywood won't give him a platform to raise this issue, but as you can see in this leaked footage, apparently Donald Trump was happy to hear these concerns at Mar-a-Lago.
All these wolves in sheep's clothing that prey upon our young. I mean, I got 9 kids. I don't know, if one of them got stolen or trafficked or something, I'd have to kill someone.
You gotta love his honesty. Now, I would like to end this video by showing you exactly what was said during the last House hearing on the issue of missing children.
DHS joint statement of termination of disagreement, and this is from March of 2021, my brothers and sisters. This was a policy decision to step away from the strict means by which these children were monitored and controlled. And what it was replaced with was this sponsor care agreement. There's nothing to this. It's 3.5 pages, 2 pages of nothing that the criminal networks can easily take advantage of. So we have now delivered hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied children to unvetted sponsors that have enslaved them across our country.
How many trillions of dollars would it cost to stop this entirely?
Well, I would submit that you could save a few $1 billion by not running the program in the manner that it's being run. I'm very unclear as to why we're luring children to the United States to be the white glove delivery system of these children to known MS-13, 18th Street Gang, Russian Balkan crime syndicates, and other unsavory characters. We've known since February of 2021 when DHS whistleblower Aaron Stevenson came forward. We've known since 2015 when DHS whistleblower Jason Piccolo came forward. The children are being used.